before I get started with my whole talk, I have a question that I want you all to be thinking about. What is an illness? And just keep that in the back of your mind for now. So I grew up here in Marysville, Ohio, and I would say I was a bit different than other kids. By that, I mean I would have a lot of mood swings, and I had my rebellious phase very young. So I like to think of myself as a trendsetter and kind of cool before the other cool kids were cool. So I would be really aggressive and frustrated when I was a kid, and I practiced self-harm before I could even comprehend what self-harm really was. And thinking back on it, it was really scary because it was just a feeling of pure frustration, and I had no idea how to release it because I was like young. And I didn't know what it was or how to stop it. And then I found out when I was around 9 or 10, my doctor diagnosed me with clinical depression and an anxiety disorder. Isn't that a fun thing to hear when you're 10? Like, you wake up, think, man, today's gonna be a great day. I get to skip school and go to the doctor, yeah! And then you're diagnosed with 2 mental illnesses, So that brings us back to the topic of illnesses. So raise your hand if you thought of COVID. Anyone think of the flu, common cold? And did anyone think of depression, anxiety, any of those? None of those are positive. No illness is positive. It's all bad. The flu is bad, having anxiety is bad, and having depression is bad. And it doesn't matter what you call it, an illness, a disorder, suffering from whatever, it's all the same. It's bad. And with anything bad, there's a stigma, sadly. The definition of a stigma being a mark of disgrace. According to NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illnesses, characters on TV with mental illnesses are portrayed as dangerous, and that in turn leads us, the viewers, to see people with mental illnesses as dangerous. The Joker is an excellent example of this, crime fighting, Batman, we all know who the Joker is. So there isn't a canon diagnosis I could find, but he does exhibit traits of schizophrenia and psychosis. And for those of you who have no clue what it was, don't worry, I Googled it for you. Schizophrenia is described as being out of touch with reality, having disorganized speech or behavior, and a lack of motivation in daily activities. And psychosis is sort of a branch off of schizophrenia, which can include auditory and visual hallucinations. According to the American Psychiatric Association, there are 3 types of stigmas and stereotypes. There's public, self, and institutional. Public being others thinking or telling you that because you have a mental illness, you're dangerous, incompetent, and unpredictable. And in case you haven't been to middle school before, hearing that does not help your self-esteem at all, whatsoever. Which in turn leads to self-stigma. I'm thinking I am dangerous, I am incompetent, and I'm unpredictable. And then there's institutional, where you're stigmatized by laws or institutions. For example, being drafted in the military. If you have certain mental illnesses, you're disqualified from being drafted or being in the military in general. But to be fair, women can't be drafted either, so come on, government, it's 2022. But that's a TED Talk for another day. So I know all of this sounds really bad. That's because it is. But we're going to go back to the Joker example. I have something mind-blowing that through years of research I have discovered. Not everything on TV is real. Let me tell you about the Joker. With the proper tools, the majority of people with schizophrenia can lead what most of us see as normal lives. According to Bright Quest treatment centers, it says that 20% of people will recover from schizophrenia within 5 years. And that's amazing. 5 years, that's such a short amount of time. And if the Joker got proper help, he would be an average guy. He probably wouldn't be the crazy clown man he is. And as for stigmas, there is a solution. It's self-love and compassion. Now, as a teenager, I know it is not a simple task. We all hate ourselves, and we can't usually see how talented we are. And there are plenty of successful people that I'm sure they didn't think they were talented either. And I don't think I can personally put myself in the category of self-love yet. I would say I'm around the self-like territory. I just haven't committed to love yet. But I'm getting there. As I've found out over years of being the weird kid, you have to stop listening to people when they discriminate you for something you can't help, and have some self-compassion. It's okay to be different, and having anxiety or having depression or any other diagnosis is a part of who you are. And always remember, there's people out there who will love you for who you are, and there is no way to stop stigmas from others and institutions. But as my mom always says, you can't control what other people do. You can only control how you react. And the only stigma you can really get rid of is self-stigma. And once you do, you'll learn how to block the others out. And always remember, if you're not being affected by this stigma, make sure you're not the one stigmatizing. Even joking comments can sometimes come across as mean, and you don't realize you're being hurtful, but just always make sure that what you're saying is nice, pretty much. And I'd like to finish this by saying that I know during this whole thing, I've made plenty of jokes. That's just kind of who I am. But this is a really serious topic. And I am not a medical professional, but I do have around a decade of experience with this stuff, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But mental illnesses are hard to deal with, and a lot of people have it. But that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that. Don't let a part of you bring you down, because that's depression's job. And if you ever need help, even though it's hard, reach out and ask for help. But a lot of people don't have it as good as me. I'm certain if I didn't have the loving and supportive family that are sitting in this crowd right now, that I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have the therapy and medication I needed. And I was fortunate enough to get the help I needed, and the help I still need. But I think the most important thing is to have self-love and compassion, to give yourself a break, to treat yourself how you would treat a friend or a family member, and forgive yourself. Thank you.